So my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to make a video yesterday, so I'm putting one out today instead. We'll talk a bit more about Bitcoin, altcoins, and discuss at which levels we currently stand. Yesterday, I already posted quite a bit in the Telegram group where new opportunities have arisen at this point. I want to briefly touch on that again as well. But as you know, before we get started, as always, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, everything is for free, and feel free to leave a comment below for the algorithm. Let me know how you're feeling right now. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think this was just an interim bottom? Write it in the comments. Otherwise, I'd say let's get right into it so we don't waste any time. We're currently trading at $109,500 for Bitcoin. Over the past few days, we've repeatedly talked about being in an ABC correction from our all-time high, which dropped down to about 107,000 and then up into our golden pocket, which you could also call a bit of a dead cat bounce. Because we entered the golden pocket perfectly, and since then there's been a correction down to 108,000 US dollars. That was our first small buying zone, I'd say at this point, or rather a support zone, but it's still a bit borderline at this stage. Does that mean we're going to catapult straight back up from here? We still have quite a bit of liquidity to pick up on the downside, and that's why I've pulled up the heat map for you on a weekly view. There we can also see, looking downward, the 108 to 107,000 US dollars already offer a lot of liquidity. There's massive long positions being opened down here again and again. And that's why it could also happen down here that if we get another quick dip downward, possibly even heading into Sunday, just to flush out the positions from the weekend, we could then at least see a recovery from there. That's the reason for this yellow scenario. It's definitely a possibility that coming out of this buying zone, we've at least seen a minor bottom here now. After this really extremely weak week, since our hit into the golden pocket, it's dropped about 8% here. The altcoins, which we'll talk about again in a moment, got hit even harder. Let's take a look at the funding rates. They're actually relatively normal, in some cases even oversold at this point. There are more short positions open. We can especially see this because the funding rates are green, or rather in the negative range, which means there are more shorts than longs. But in the past few days, massive long positions have also been repeatedly flushed out of the market. As soon as we had any kind of bottom, people immediately went long again, and as soon as, I don't know, the price went up by $1,000, it immediately dropped again, and everyone got liquidated at that point. That's why you should still be a bit cautious here with Bitcoin at this point. But it doesn't look too bad that we might at least get out of this zone down here up to around 107,000. Maybe we'll even swap out the low down here at 107,200 and then see a small breakout to the upside, because as you can see, there's massive liquidity up to 117,000 on the weekly chart. Let's switch to the 3-day view again to see if anything changes significantly. There you can see it's the same. In the end, there's quite a lot sitting around 113,400 to 114,000. Down here on the short-term timeframes, there isn't actually that much, but on the weekly view, there's a lot of liquidity directly below us. Let's move over to Ethereum. What does it look like there? Ethereum actually reacted very, very well to our buy zone. So I've been waiting for this ABC correction for quite a while now. I also posted that for you yesterday in the Telegram group. That we actually have a perfect reaction from it now. It did take a little while. As you know, the zone has been there for quite some time now. We've also looked at it again and again in the live streams. By the way, live stream again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. as usual on Sunday. Next week, everything will be back to normal. It was just a bit difficult with the live stream this week. But here too, ever since we hit the golden pocket, or rather the 0.786 level, things have moved significantly downward. And as I said, we've now reached our buy zone down here for the first time. That was the textbook correction target. I'll quickly draw it in for you again from this A to B. And then you can see down here the 1.414 and 1.618 levels were even reached, but the 1.786 level hasn't been hit yet. Why not yet? Here too, there's a possibility that if Bitcoin really does swap the liquidity at the bottom again, we could see Ethereum also grab that liquidity down here at 3,700 US dollars, but it doesn't have to happen. As I said, the 4-hour candles don't actually look that bad right now. At least we've swapped this intermediate low over here. But now we also need some upward momentum, continuing to move up for the time being. Otherwise, we'll take a look at the other altcoins in a moment, the ones I posted yesterday in the Telegram group. But first things first. That was the Bitcoin update and the Ethereum update for now. If you want to trade all of this, you can of course do so on my partner exchange, WEEX. At the moment, there are up to 11,500 USDT in bonuses just for registering. KYC and a few other small things you can do. Then you'll also get some surprise boxes, which basically let you start trading right away, test out the exchange, and maybe even take some profits. Alright, let's move on. What else did I post yesterday? Chainlink was also one of those things that I've actually been waiting for weeks now. You know, Chainlink is also one of those things. I'm a complete Chainlink fan, but it just took a bit longer until we finally got our correction. We had our high up here at around $27.80. From there was a correction down to $21.80. A perfect hit back up here into the golden pocket at around $25.50. And from here, we then got this sell-off. So here too, it's actually a textbook ABC correction down to the 1.414 Fibonacci retracement level. The buying zone extended down to $18.55. That's still within the realm of possibility here, even though we already have a massive bullish divergence. But the downtrend hasn't really been broken yet, and honestly, I don't want something like that to be broken over the weekend because, as you know, there are always gaps. Everything that gets pumped over the weekend usually gets completely dumped again by Monday of the following week. That means the buying zone was triggered. If all of this is a bit too risky for you, and if, let's say, 4% is enough for you, and that's already a decent move, I have to say, especially with 3 times leverage, that's 12%. Secure your position, and then maybe wait until we drop deeper into this zone again. The range from 19.22 to 18.55 is not off the table yet. That's why this would be the next entry point I could really see happening in this zone. Just keep an eye on it for now. It's possible that we'll drop down there again, but otherwise the correction here looks really, really good at this point. Next coin I want to talk about, Fartcoin, has actually performed really, really well now, especially after, let's remove this for a moment, but after the correction here also played out perfectly. We also had a nice ABC correction here down to the 1.618 at the 100 retracement level. The 52 cents would have been possible as well, but anyone who got in here at 56 US cents should have already secured their first profits, because here too we're up 5%. We've moved up. This looks very, very good at this point and could now indicate further upward potential for the time being. Otherwise, the buy zone is still active. If we drop down there again or see a lower low, it wouldn't really be good, but it would still be a possibility. Otherwise, I would now gray out this zone for the time being, simply because this zone has now been marked and has also been reached for now. So Fartcoin also looks very, very good. At this point, let's move on to Hype. With Hype, you have to say the uptrend has now been broken here for the time being. To be honest, I don't really like that at this point. You have to be a bit careful, so if anything, only go in here with a bot, otherwise I'm going to wait for now. Fetch AI has landed perfectly in the golden pocket here and is also down here at the pivot. It was stopped for now at 55 US cents. The ABCDE correction could now also be completed here, meaning the low might be in as well. That looks very, very good. The most important thing that needs to happen here is, for example, we need to get back into this channel to activate the bullish scenario at this point. Let's move on to Solana. How does it look there? Here too, the bottom held where we talked about it in the video the day before yesterday. At 190 US dollars, we were initially rejected at this other buy zone. We'll mark that area gray for now as well, because as I said, it was just reached at this point. Otherwise, things don't look too bad for Solana either. As I said, I would also close the buy zone here now. Risk, or rather, has now been halved for the time being, because 2 entry zones were set. So that means here too, you should currently be in profit with this position. Otherwise, I would act a bit more cautiously here for now. It looks like, as of now, Link is open, Ethereum is open, Solana is open. You don't have to go overboard with positions, and as I said, the bottom might already be in. However, the liquidity in Bitcoin would still allow it to go a bit lower, and the same goes for Ethereum. That's why you should just be a bit cautious with with adding more longs now, especially after we've already had such an impulsive move here, for example. What I also wanted to talk about is Pump Fun. It also looks very, very good, I have to say at this point. After a hit up here from this wave 3, or rather the target, which was very, very impulsive, we've now had a nice hit into the golden pocket of this very wave 2. Here as well, I want to quickly pull up the FIB for you from our low to our top. We can see that we landed perfectly in the golden pocket. The pivot also held here for now. That looks good. But now the 200 SMA on the 4-hour chart also needs to be surpassed. And as soon as that happens, we could see the next upward movement here. But it might be a bit of an exaggeration to expect such a big move upward, but at least into the golden pocket up here. At around 7,000 US dollar cents, where there's also a supply zone up here, in other words, exactly this area. But that could also mean that, in the end, we definitely have to expect resistance up here. If we manage to break through, the wave 5 target would definitely still be possible. That would mean a new all-time high again, but you also need to know that with a wave 5, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to reach a new all-time high. The movement could also end up a bit lower. That's just something we need to keep an eye on. Otherwise, this also looks very, very good in terms of the positions. The XRP update will come later, so you can look forward to that. Otherwise, I'd say that's it for today's update video. We'll hear from each other again tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the live stream on YouTube. You know the drill. Otherwise, XRP update later. I wish you a great Saturday. Take care. Until then, ciao ciao, and as always, stay crypto.